welcome here to the radio show. I'm super happy to have you here, Barbara. And I would like to point out a few of that what made you bringing here to today. And I mean, I think I could talk hours about your life and pointing out very important areas. And I would like you later on to talk about this because you're an expert of your life. But just to introduce you to the audience, I would like to point out a few things. I mean, you were a pioneer in data-driven diversity management. You are the founder of Female Career Index and of Impact of Diversity. Therefore, you are the managing director in international and national and international based consulting agency, talking and working on this field, which is super important, not just in Germany, but I think Germany has a really urgent need on this still. And you were a pioneer in that, in diversity management, and you developed this unique product. But furthermore, you built up many further organizations in the field of diversities with a different understanding of what they thought diversity would be beforehand. So you started business administration with a focus on market research in United States, but also Germany. So you're a cosmopolitan by heart, but also by from your young age, and spent the majority of your life in different international roles with diverse teams from media to banking before you started your own business. And I think it's really remarkable what you did from your management positions at Ogilvy, Unilever, and to Publicis groups, very important and well-known names. You worked for the European Central Bank and Commerzbank, Dresdner Bank, also in the private sector until you decided to start your own business. If you look back, and I mean, there's always something good and bad about the time we've left behind us. What would you say? Was there a story or was there a moment where it was the moment where you said, okay, I leave all that and I start my own business? No, it's exactly the moment of change.
Well, it happened organically, but it was a ongoing development. So since I had the chance to be around the world, to travel the 7 seas, as you may say, I also gathered a lot of experience when it came to how different cultures also embrace diversity, for example, and also living diversity, and also female careers. So for them, like the US, France, or the UK, it's rather normal to be a female and to conduct a career. When I moved to Germany into a German bank, I learned that what I thought till then is normal, in that environment, and especially my German culture, it's not that normal. And all of a sudden, I was the only female, and I had a lot of questions about what are you doing with your kids. So it was a strange situation. I was 6 years with the bank, so I didn't decide immediately it's not my right environment. But we also made some very interesting experiences, because first of all, we bought another bank. So Commerzbank bought Dresdner Bank, and I became member of the management board there. Then it was 2 weeks later, we ran into the subprime crisis. And giving those very challenging moments, we also had to size down the bank, because otherwise you're not successful running a merger. And doing that, I learned a lot about human behavior. I learned a lot about how decisions are made. And I also learned that after a while, we even lost more females than we had before. So having this very precious and fearful environment by losing your jobs, etc., being unsecure about the economy overall during the subprime crisis, didn't lead to learn the human being always from the best sides. Yeah, so it's it shows really dark spots also in behavior. What I also didn't like about the situation, especially in Germany, was this quite emotional discussion about whether a female should be part of the workforce or rather stay at home and being mothers only. Now you're laughing, but we are still in the situation and discussing. Yes. It's unbelievable, but it's still true. But what I also thought is being a member of a board team, we used to decide things based on KPIs. So KPIs are really the currency to support decision making, to make good decisions based on facts and figures. And I was wondering why this is not possible for female careers as well and diversity overall. I started to think in this direction. I shared it with a bank. And we started to work in this area, but then I had this very, very unique chance to tell my story and my idea to the Ministry of Family Affairs. And the former minister, Christina Schröder, she said right away, oh, that's an interesting approach. I would like to fund you. Don't you like to do that in Berlin with a university and really develop this index?
Wow,
it was a moment. Yeah, and it was really like, okay, I was about, anyhow, is banking really the right thing for me? Since quite a while. Then I thought, okay, this is another once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, so just try it.
Cool.
And, I started to develop this index, and due to the funding of the Ministry of Family Affairs, we had like 2 years of blank research. So we really could start from scratch. We could really conduct all research which has been done so far. We could look worldwide, and I think that's the basis why the index is still quite successful and very, very stable.
That's a fantastic start. And I mean, you started that in 2012 and 2017. You were already recognized from edition F as one of the 25 women revolutionizing the German economy. If you hear that, do you feel like that you have been revolutionizing the German economy when you also say, okay, we're still struggling with something? What would you say are the earnings, are the things you could already change, and what are your next goals?
Well, I think what we definitely did, we innovated the way to think of careers. And we also recognized as being really innovative. And I think it's true, in 2012, nobody had this idea of facts and figures. Now in 2024, also to ESG rules, we talk a lot about KPIs. So now the market coming closer to my business, so which is nice. Have I revolutionized really the economy of Germany? I think it's still work to do. And it would be nice to be more successful and to make a greater impact. But I think we also achieved with some companies really great movements. They implemented fantastic measures, great support for females. They look into diversity differently. So I think the way to revolutionize it is really by going corporation by corporation, company by company, and then you hope the whole economy gets affected. So it's still work.
So it's a long, long way. And thanks God, we have more minutes to talk. And we had already exciting exchange. So stay tuned. And after the commercial break, we will continue our conversation. We've covered some intriguing topics in the last minutes before the commercial break. And now we continue our conversation with Barbara Lutz. She shouted out the great song, A Little Less Conversation. And now we can continue with our conversation. And so my question would be, I mean, if you think what needs to happen for us to ensure our future world worth living in, is this a little less conversation your motto, you would like to explain? Or what advice could you give us, and to whom would you give this advice, that really something important happens which can be a life changer for all of us in the end, for our planet?
I think, first of all, we really need to understand that it is in our and our kids' interest around the world to act now. and that we definitely have not a lot of time left for conversation, even so you have the feeling that we keep discussion things which are already have been discussed and also supported by the science, etc. It is about acting now, but it's also about acting in sense of being more innovative, look forward, trying to find new solutions, because I do not believe that we will overcome the issues, the problems by running into old behavior, or even saying, okay, now we stop moving, we stop doing this and that. We need to make it attractive for everybody to work for more sustainability, to look into nature, to be more careful. We have to offer opportunities, and we have to offer a new way of thinking in terms of technology, etc. So for me, it's a question of innovativeness and eagerness as action.
But who could be the person who is delivering this? How can we get this into the minds, and how can we get this into the emotions of the people? Who is responsible for that? And yeah, who should be the person, or who could be the people doing that?
I think we have seen a lot of actions coming from very young people addressing the issues. Now looking into the political development, I think it was a good start, but it didn't have exactly the effect we all hoped. For me, it's really talking with institutions. So people who are sitting in decision-making positions, who need to understand how important their unique positions are, like being a leader of a company. And we see companies who make great developments. They take on economically questions and environmental questions very well. We see politicians who do that, but we also see a lot of discussion. And when I look into the German politics, we only see discussion and no action at all. So I think maybe we should share this song with some specific people. However, it's still the people who have power who need to make the decisions. And as an influencer, you can achieve a lot, but unfortunately, no, you never are the decision maker. And to keep talking, to keep addressing, even go to the streets, it's one of the ways to make for them it really obvious that they have to act.
I often see young people nowadays which are desperate, which trying to really attack the current system by being so insecure and so frightened about what currently happens. Too little from their idea, but they have no solutions by themselves. So I see often that it turns into depression, it turns into a big frustration, it turns also from this high action level into really destructive behavior against others, against themselves, and followed by a kind of losing the idea why we are on this planet. Who should move there? Something who is responsible for that? I mean, looking at parents, I mean, you know, as me, there is no education for parents. You get kids, and then you are responsible, and you have a huge job, and you never learned how to do this job. So saying, okay, parents have to do that, it's hard to say. School teachers have to doing it. It's also hard to say they've never learned how to solve situations like that. But who should play this role? Who is responsible for that? Who can do this in real?
It's absolutely true. I'm also a mother of two, and nobody tells you what is the right thing and what how is the best recipe to be a good mother or a good father. The good thing is, on the other side, it's happened since millions of years. We just all go through this situation of becoming mothers, and then you start to deal with it. And I strongly believe that most parents try to deal the best way they can think of. So that's a baseline. And to be available for your kids when they start to struggle, is probably one of the most important things. Even so, you don't have solutions, but you can listen, you can hear, you can feel, and you can share your insights. I see that situation is extremely distressing for young people at the moment. But we also had in Germany the Null-Pox generation. I don't even know the English word, in saying like, I'm not interested in anything generation like 30, 40 years ago. And there was also a strong discussion about Cold War and so on, but also you found your way. And I wouldn't be so negative about the young people, because I'm sure it's a phase. They're trying to find the way. But we need to help them. We need to address it. I am afraid that there is not the one person doing it, but definitely one thing making it harder for them, which is social media and TikTok, especially TikTok. The way how social media is coming right into the minds of the younger generation. And I read a very good article in Switzerland, the difference between television and social media. And television is, the medium can be very good because you can learn something about it, or it can be bad because you just look stupid shows. But with social media, the idea is like the media as, per se is negative, because it addicts the young people to keep using it all the time, to be at the screen all the time, to being connected with it. And then on top of it, it might be bad content, rather good content. But even so, when it is good content, you're spending far too much time in front of the screen, too much time in social media. And this really changes the way how your brain is developing, how your social capabilities develop. And I think that's an interesting point to look at. Also the difference by saying, okay, television is a passive medium, but with social media, you're actively intrigued and looking into also way how information is coming to you, and also the bubble about it even makes it worse. So it's also about giving the young people the chance and opportunity to interact again, to find friends again, to do sports, and to open up your mind.
Yeah, that's all right. I could sign every sentence. And if you look at your own children, has it been, or is it still a challenge for you to talk with them about their media consumption?
Well, I think we are in a lucky situation because our kids are now 20 and 19. So the social media thing just started like 5-7 years ago. So they already have been quite developed personality. You could talk with them. We talked about it, but we never been restricted in sense of, okay, you have a half an hour or not. So we watched it and we tried to teach them to decide what they like to look, to be self-conscious by being too close. And so this was our strategy, because we thought you cannot talk it away. There's no way to forbid using of social media, but you have to give them self-security by saying, I like to watch that or not. And I'm not online at all. So, but I think if you have younger kids, it's even worse, because I remember this moment when we've been to a nice restaurant in France. My kid's been 12 and 13. And there was a younger kid sitting there being 5. And he was sitting there with his earbuds and in front of the iPad. And the whole for our 4-star dinner, this poor thing was only watching the tablet.
Oh my God.
And I think that's what you see a lot after so he was like 5. And I think this was a moment when it really changed, that we see in hotels now very often kids being in front of tablets or mobiles all the time, and not talking with their family. I think that's a shame.
Exactly.
You're not talking with each other, which is, in my opinion, is one of the strongest strengths, greatest strengths we have as human beings, talking with each other.
Yeah, that's right. And also, if you think the reaction of people from outer side, which are giving feedback like, "Ooh, this child is very quiet, that's great. This child is not making any noise. Is this bad if a child is making noise, if it's communicating about something, what it's feeling or want to address to the environment? And this is interesting, because we have learned over thousands of years to communicate, but it seems that we haven't learned how to communicate in the proper way to become women to become equal to men, and to communicate in a proper way to bring it into action. And I mean, if we talk about women and men, I mean, maybe you would confirm to me that women are said or are told to be the best communicators. Why can't women be the ones who could become equal to men and be the communicators who can drive the change?
I think we currently see a quite interesting development here, because looking at all the changes which now need to happen fast.
Yes.
We learned from the companies we're working with that quite often they like to have females running the projects. Females like to be responsible for the change, because they learn if it is headed by a female, in trying to involve as many people as possible to talk about the emotions which change quite often causes by others, they are more successful. And I think it's about the combination, how to facilitate change, how to support change, and females can have a strong role here. And we even see it in our research. So for many, many years, when we asked about the role of digitization for females, we heard things like, oh, it's good for them to work at home, it's the digital support, you're independent because laptops and so on. But it changed like two years ago, and all of a sudden we heard phrases like, we need females to be able to do change. We need the abilities of females to make change successful. And this is a great chance, because now when females are start to understand, to use this opportunity and be trained when it comes to digitization, coding, and so on, they have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to now really outdrive men. Because when we look into management, at least in Germany, at the moment, females and males don't know a lot about digitization, coding, etc. All of them. So there's not a difference in sex by knowing about what is needed for change in management.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. So there's a lot of potential, I'd say. And I mean, I know that you are a very hard worker. On the one hand, you are a very good mover, so you really move things to the next level, and you already made big steps there. So do you want to share a few hacks with us about health, how you tried to live the moment, be always in a healthy state? How do you create or hurt happiness? What means success, and how you keep it?
I think one of the necessary abilities and strategies in order to achieve your goals is to keep your goal always in mind and focus. But you have to be flexible by the ways how you achieve it. If you try to do it always the same way, if you try to ignore hindrances, if you try to just overcome brutally situations, you will not succeed. You're not changing your goal, but you are very flexible in the way how you address it. And there can be very interesting ways to achieving your goals by trying different ways, talking to different people, trying different strategies. So I think that's, in my opinion, from what we have done with the FKI, but also what we have done with the introduction of the euro, you have one goal, and you have to think about different ways how to address it. In terms of happiness, in terms of satisfaction, I also think it's very important to be in peace with your family, to just love your family, being loved by your family. giving your families the times everybody deserves, treat yourself well, treat the people around you well. I think that gives you a nice basic for recreation, regeneration, but also for just enjoying moments with family and with your friends. So I think that's also important. And to do so, you may try the ability to be where you are. So what do I mean? If I'm with my family, I'm with my family. So I try to be really concentrated, give it valuable time. Now they're big kids, but also when you had smaller kids, it was important to be with them, fully. But when I'm in business,
when you're in business, then it's sometimes really, really hard to do. And I think, I mean, you shared some really great content with us about how we can do it to not only live our life for the best, but also influence in the best way with this idea of movement. We can do things for the better. And we see, I think, and you expressed this in a very, very nice manner, how a strong woman can move the way, and how a role model you can be without being a male-oriented person. And this is, I think, important. And thanks so much, Barbara, for being here with us. And thank you for engaging in discussion and the insights that define you as an inspiring personality. And I think we could talk further and further. So I look forward to our ongoing exchange and the impact we will continue to make together.